Hello, don't go anywhere. This is the wrong place, but it might turn out to be the right one. You're here with Joe, and
Aakash, and you're listening to the We've Got
we've got
Nothing
nothing
Left.
left podcast. Oh, I thought
I,
we were saying
I
that
thought I was going to say it.
together. Oh, all right. Let's just go get
Let's
into it.
just go.
Well, we're back.
Hey. Yeah.
We're back. It's been a while. I think it's been about 2 months, 3 months.
Well,
A bit
maybe
of a
people have
break.
just heard us now. Maybe they've just literally, as this episode comes
Yeah,
out, discovered
this is
us and
jumping
they've
on
not
point.
known any gap.
Yeah, but what a time to come back with 5 episodes into Ahsoka.
Oh,
I don't know if you can hear that plane going by. It's actually the ghost going by.
I can
But
hear it as well.
can you
We could,
actually?
yeah, yeah. This is the last we hear. We both just die immediately.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
famous last words.
It's actually a Purgle going
Yeah,
past.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, look, I mean, we're 5 episodes into it. We did actually record one last week,
I'm glad you brought
but
that up.
it didn't actually record properly. So
Someone messed up on the recording and I'll put my hands up. We had half a podcast,
yeah,
actually, but we
better
decided
to
actually,
better to
yeah.
wait.
And I actually am really glad because a lot of our podcast centered on who like Marok was, the Inquisitor,
Yeah,
and like potentially like I don't know if we touched on Chosen One. Maybe we did, but let's just say a lot of the theories we had were inaccurate. So
yeah,
it's nice to
yeah.
not be embarrassed and to
No,
get into
no,
the
but you know
source.
what? All the A lot of the fun is theorizing, but
Theorizing exactly.
to say that Marek was, it could be Starkiller, it could be a clone of Ezra. My thought it was Barry Sophie, and then he's a cloud of green
Like
Night Sister
us
smoke.
just
But
spazzes out and
yeah,
honestly,
but
when this episode opened, I thought it was going to open on his like corpse and like something was going to happen. But I was like,
no, he's
still
gone.
invested.
He's
Oh
gone.
yeah, he's gone.
He is gone. But you know what? I think that is setting up um the potential sort of I don't I feel like it's setting something up to show that Morgan Elspeth is capable of
Oh yeah.
as
If she can
controlling
resurrect
something like
one
that.
Inquisitor,
Yeah.
what about like an
Yeah.
army of dead clones or something like that?
Yeah. Well,
That'd be quite sick,
or
wouldn't it?
dead stormtroopers who didn't
Yeah,
make
yeah.
because that was a whole starship that got pulled in
Yes.
through the so that's a
Yes.
whole
On
crew of
Ezra.
stormtroopers and Imperials.
Yeah, just to
So
set up what we were talking about, it was obviously Ezra and Thrawn being catapulted across space-time by the
yes.
Purgle, who make an appearance in this show. But
Yeah.
the Shadow Warrior, part five, really centers on the juicy
Yeah.
part of what we want to talk about,
I
Ahsoka and
think
Anakin.
yeah, the Clone Wars. And look, I mean I've been a Clone Wars fan since it started. Since I mean I was 8 years old when it
2008.
started. 2008. I remember I
It's a film,
wanted
wasn't it?
yeah, it was a film in 2008. I remember going to see it and obviously as a kid you don't think about how shit the film is because it was pretty bad. But then the
Yeah.
show came along after that and it had its rocky episodes and it
Yeah.
there
Most
was a
TV
lot
shows
of
do.
episodes. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, but some of a lot of the Clone Wars is some of the best Star Wars
Oh,
available.
100%. It's why
You
Filoni's
know,
doing what he's doing now, because he really
yeah,
proved himself. And George Lucas, they
yeah,
made
yeah,
something really
yeah.
unique. Ahsoka's literally without Clone Wars, she wouldn't be here. Like,
No,
because
yeah, it's
obviously
true.
everyone thought she wasn't part of the source
True.
material, and then George Lucas went back on it and was like, no, Anakin has an apprentice. And the way that
Yeah,
they've like, I think this episode, what makes it special is it really bridges the gap with
yeah,
Hayden Christensen's Anakin between
yeah,
episodes two and three and these Clone Wars flashbacks, and you 100% believe it. Like,
yeah. And I think as well, seeing him in that Clone Wars armor, it did sort of it just brought me back, and that's something I think people have been wanting to see
yes.
for since it began, just like you say, to bridge that gap.
Mm.
Um, but one thing I did notice, which I always found really weird in the Clone Wars, was how like Ahsoka didn't really wear anything. Like
Yeah.
she wore like a strip of cloth around her
Gym
chest
clothes.
and like a tiny skirt. And I was so fucking glad that they changed that because that would have looked so weird and all because
Yeah,
you
it
forget
wasn't.
she
Yeah,
go
yeah, I
on.
get what you mean. It
Like it
wasn't.
was like
I
weird.
don't think. Yeah, no one. Obviously, at least the kids never sexualized it watching it. I don't think it
No,
had
no,
that
no,
intention
no, it didn't. But like, you
in
know,
real life, in a live
it
action
but also
adaptation.
it's just
It would
weird
have.
to give that outfit and
So
they did
yeah,
change it in the Clone Wars. They did change it
yes,
because I think they
exactly.
must
Yeah,
have realized that but
yeah,
it is what it is. But I think we have to talking about sort of costuming and things like that. I think you have some thoughts on the setting of those
yeah,
scenes.
yeah. Well, like I think, and we'll go into it. Overall, the
Mm,
episode was fantastic. I want to assert that. Like I think the whole World Beyond Worlds
yeah.
setting was fantastic, especially how they enhanced the sort of like wavy water
Mm,
elements of the pathways. And initially, that first fight, I was so hooked. Anakin gets the high ground by chopping the path off, and she
yeah.
falls into, I believe it's the second battle of Geonosis, one of their first fights.
I think it was Ryloth
Okay,
because you
yeah,
see the Twi'leks in
yes,
the background.
yes. My thing was, aside from the story, which I liked, was that I could just tell immediately that we were in the volume, and
Mm,
it lacked so much charisma. I just felt I'm nitpicking because I felt like you said that there was nothing really perfect, but I think this episode was so close to it, and with the volume, obviously it being like a 360 sort of video setting. It is really good for giving the actors something to play
yeah.
off with for natural lighting and stuff. But the camera never pans up from a position. All I needed was a VFX shot of the planet or something. And
Yeah.
even saying that, they didn't even do anything interesting with the camera work, with the fights. Like with Anakin's Clone Wars armor, they could have revealed it in such more of a dynamic way where maybe
Yeah.
Ahsoka's on the floor, Anakin goes over to her and gives her his hand, and they could have revealed the costume like that. But all you get is like this third person view the entire time. And it's just so like,
I
I
get that.
mean, yeah, because they're crossing the bridge from animation to live action. So aesthetically, it did look. I don't know. There were parts of it that were a bit weird. Obviously, the clones were CGI in the prequels, so seeing them as real life, which is nice, it was looking a bit like cosplay to me. I don't know. I still get the only time I liked it was in Mandalorian season 3. I think just
Mm,
because of the lighting and stuff. But again, I compared it to the Ant-Man and the Wasp in the sense of its sort of generic dusty setting, which it had for the first battle and the Siege of Mandalore for some reason. And it honestly felt like the same set. Like
yeah.
I
I
really
get
felt
that.
like it was a bit lazy. I know there's a lot of money in the budgets has to go to like VFX and all these different elements, but what makes Star Wars so dynamic and uh, I was going to say is always the set pieces. They always made some beautiful live things for the actors to stand on. Saying that, there was a lot of blue screen in the prequels, but they still went to the effort to make them visually sort of captivating. If you think about Camino and
Yeah.
Mustafar,
I, to be personally, I think the prequels are lazier. I understand
they
that
were limited by the technology at the time as well. But I get what you
they
mean.
were, but then you could say the same thing about the original trilogy, even more.
Mm.
And they captured planets so much better than the prequels did, in my opinion, because it felt more lived in. But I do understand it is the same, I think, for Ahsoka. Um, uh, and you know my opinions on the prequels. I think they're pretty shockingly shit. And I know we don't see eye to eye on that, um, but I think at the same time with Ahsoka specifically, because the prequels is another day, but um,
the West.
it, well, yeah, it's Backtrack of the West. Um, with Ahsoka, I think for me, I completely understand where you're coming from because I think back to, when in Mandalorian season 1, when you see young Din Djarin and the super battle droids, like,
Yeah,
open, and you see like the battle, and it's all like
yeah, the
crazy,
daylight and
and
the set
yeah,
pieces, and yeah,
it
it was lived
felt
in.
that felt like a TV show.
Yeah,
This felt like a stage show,
yeah,
where it was like you're sitting
good way of describing it.
in the
Yeah,
audience
it's
watching
not.
it.
Yeah, and it's not to say they didn't pay attention to detail. You have a couple of
No,
sort of
no.
vehicles in the background, and
That's what I did love, is when
yeah,
you got a flash and then you saw like an AT, what is it, ATTE, isn't it?
yeah, the Clone Wars ones
Walker,
are.
and then the gunship coming down, and things like that.
And you know what? It is realistic if you're in a battlefield situation and bombs are going off for it to
Yeah.
be dusty. So the smoke did play well on that part,
It,
but
yeah,
there was no like towers of like broken civilizations or like who were they even fighting? There was no droids. And
no, and
if you are leaning into this dream sequence where it is a bit of a mirage and maybe the set piece, do you know, like in Infinity War where Thanos
yeah,
snaps his fingers and they go into that? That's what it reminded me of, that orange hue, mainly because I had the
yeah,
same actress playing Ahsoka.
true.
But I just felt if you were gonna do a trance like that, you should have leaned into it more. It just feels a bit vague.
Yeah, I mean, I've just got up a picture from this storm
Yeah,
over
I have it
Ryloth.
actually on my laptop as
Yeah,
well. Yeah.
and it's not. I mean, the area looks, orange, and sort of,
Yeah.
it's not dusty, and it's not like,
It's,
I understand that it was during the battle, but
yeah.
it wasn't during night or anything like that. Um, and it was mainly a dogfight, and Ryloth, if I'm not mistaken, is like a jungle planet.
I'm gonna
So
Google it quickly.
I think
Where that
if
was set.
we'd seen like the jungle um setting, and that would
Yeah.
have been, great.
Yeah.
Um, but don't get me wrong, just quickly, I still loved it because I got to see it finally.
Yeah, you know what? It's nitpicking end of the day. We got to see it. We're focused on the
Yeah,
relationships between Anakin and Ahsoka.
yeah,
And one other thing that I have been trying to figure out today, because initially I didn't know what it was and I was a bit annoyed when I was speaking to you, was the
yeah.
whole lesson that Anakin was trying to teach Ahsoka with the
Mm-hmm.
choice between living or dying. And I just
Yeah.
felt like when at the end when she goes to say I choose to live, I sort of took that with the same energy of Rey saying like, and I'm all the Jedi. I thought at first it was really lazy, and I was thinking, what's Filoni doing? Because I was like,
Mm,
he adds such like complexity and like depth to what he tries to convey. So I didn't understand it, or I thought there was nothing to understand. I then rewatched it. I watched a couple of videos, and then what were you gonna say? What were you gonna say?
Gandalf.
Gandalf, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they have talked about this connection between
Gandalf
Gandalf
the
the Grey
White,
and
the
Gandalf the White.
rebirth. Yeah.
Yeah, I get that, but it's a bit on the nose to say choose to live or die. With me, what I took from it was Ahsoka choosing to be a Jedi or not, because we have this whole thing of her leaving the Order and she's like a
Mm,
rebel, she's an outcast, and she's mainly a warrior because, as the episode demonstrates, Anakin had to teach her during the war that he sort of adapted the Jedi ways to teach her to be more of a soldier than a
yeah.
Jedi Knight. And she wanted to be a Jedi Knight, and she got disillusioned. He got disillusioned, and obviously she knows that he became Darth Vader. So there was this thing of like, but
Mm,
Balin mentioned her legacy being death and destruction, and I think that's why she was unbalanced in the fight and why she lost.
yeah.
And I think it's that idea of like, if your master was the Dark Lord of the Sith, like you're gonna be a
Yeah.
bit like, do I know that then? What
Yeah.
does it all mean?
I think there's, with the line "I choose to live," I think there was a lot weighing on that, and a lot behind that, rather than just, yeah, I'm gonna just come back to life now. Um, personally, because as you said, her master was the, Darth Vader practically, and in that episode, in the latest one, I think she mentions at some point, oh, you know, or Anakin says that it's always passed down. Everything I am is in you, and you are everything
Yeah.
I am,
You
and then
possess all the knowledge I
yeah,
possess.
and she alludes to the fact then, well, that does that make me Darth Vader? Does that make me
Yeah.
that? And I think that's what she's saying. It's almost choose to die, give in to that side, or choose to live, have that hope and maintain that hope. And
Mm.
because the last time because I almost saw it the world between worlds, because it was the world between worlds, but it wasn't used as that.
It
It
wasn't used how it
was
was in Rebels with like
no.
time travel and stuff.
So
Yeah.
I saw it as almost a place of limbo.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like, you know, you know in Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows when he dies and he goes to
Yeah.
the
In
train
King's
station.
Cross.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in King's Cross. I almost saw it as that, and Dumbledore as Anakin, in a sense of, well, you can go back if you want, or it's up to you. But because you're not finished. And I feel like that was it. Like you're not done yet. Um
Yeah. It's like he gave you a choice. You have to
yeah.
choose, and
And also
you got to fight.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And also I feel like when she returned, all of this season, and I think I spoke about this to you in
Mm.
our Lost podcast.
I'm really stunned.
Yeah. But like all of the season up to this point, she's she's felt off,
Like
and
a
she's felt
shell. Yeah.
yeah, and she's felt sort of stern and almost like it's not the Ahsoka we know,
Yeah.
and almost not the Ahsoka we saw in Mandalorian, because it was like she was kind to Grogu and things, but she's been quite harsh and
Even to Luke
closed
and stuff and
off.
Boba Fett. Yeah.
Yeah, but then after she's had these moments with Anakin, and after she's been through that final
Rebalanced.
training,
Yeah.
she came back. She had this sense of adventure, and she
Hope.
was like, "Oh, take us in there," and like she
Yeah.
wanted to.
Even the light shines on her, like so
Yeah,
symbolically. And I think
yeah,
that really demonstrates Rosario's acting chops to be
yeah,
able to show like, well, it's called a shadow warrior. What if it's
yeah,
referring to Ahsoka being a shadow of who she was because she was
yeah,
so stripped away from her Jedi
yeah,
beliefs and Anakin. And I really like how they sort of they they had unresolved business, her and Anakin, because the last
yeah,
time
yeah,
we saw her, he tried to kill her,
yeah.
and she only survived because of the
And
world
that's
beyond
what I
worlds.
love that as well, where she said, "I'm not going to fight you," and he said, "Oh, I've heard that before." And
Yeah, and
did she
that's
say that to him? She said that in Rebels,
yeah.
didn't
She's like,
she?
I won't fight you, and he goes, I've heard that before.
So that
But I
must have
thought
been like, go on.
it's Luke, surely he's referring to, because Luke says that to him in Return of the Jedi. He's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I won't
true.
fight you, Father.
Yeah, yeah,
s-
yeah,
which is kind of mad. And it lends on to this conversation of, is this Anakin or is this the Force operating through his memories and stuff? Because Anakin was a Force ghost at the end of Return of the Jedi. This version of Anakin doesn't have a Force glow.
no,
He's wearing his Revenge of the Sith robes. Obviously he can change his appearance. He has a lightsaber as well.
yeah,
It could be this idea that it's quite complex, this area of the Force and this place that they're in. That
yeah,
it could well Anakin, this is the first time I ever got this sense from him, and it's just a credit to Hayden's ability to act. But I really felt like he was acting as the chosen one, someone that was balanced between the dark side and the light, who could slip into
yeah,
either of them. That's
yeah.
what it really felt like. It definitely did have the elements of Anakin in there, but it was a really mature. It was a master. It was Master Skywalker. He does deserve a seat on the council.
He does. Do you know what? I think that Hayden, under a different director,
Yeah,
can just do so much better than he did. I
honestly,
understand what he did in Revenge of the Sith. I understand that, he was directed and, uh, well, yeah, he was directed to sort of convey the Vader side of it and be more
yeah,
monotone and sort of stuff like that. But
yeah,
here, it was Clone Wars Anakin.
yes,
It was even the voice. The voice was obviously not Matt Latner's, I think his name was, or Lanta.
Yeah.
I think Lando. Anyway,
The way he says
Matt's.
snips, it's like the same
Yeah, yeah,
pronunciation and the same
yeah,
sort of. He watched Clone Wars before prepping
yeah,
for this because, like,
yeah,
when he was doing the Kenobi interviews, he was obviously growing his hair out, so people were asking him about Ahsoka,
yeah,
and it was a bit obvious that he would be in it, and he was prepping by watching all these Clone Wars episodes and
yeah.
maybe bits of
Man,
Rebels and
that's one thing. I wish, I wish Ewan McGregor was there as well.
yeah, yeah, just like
Because like just why not? Like just get him. His
yeah,
wife is in
it's
it for fuck's sake.
yeah, I know. I feel like at least it would be like. Obviously, it would make sense. It's whether it was how would he serve the story. You know, I get like fan service and
Yeah.
the cameo and stuff. Also,
Yeah,
be
and I
bloody
know
expensive to
we've
get. Like,
yeah, and we've complained about fan service before,
mm.
but I can't fucking help it. I like
Oh yeah, it could have
when
been
it
done so easy, like a hologram or
yeah,
something.
yeah, but
Like
like the thing
comms.
is,
Yeah,
yeah, he could have recorded it in his fucking wardrobe.
yeah.
And the thing is, when it comes to Star Wars, after Filoni's film,
Mm.
I don't.
That's what it's called, Star Wars Filoni's film.
Yeah,
You heard it here
that's the
first.
official title. But I just don't see
What else? Yeah.
where. Yeah, I don't see. Look,
Knights of Ren potentially and a bit
oh,
and
fuck that
after
shit.
episode 9. But yeah,
Uh,
it's you're losing the legacy, like they said. The legacy of Star
yeah,
Wars is so
and do you
strong
know
here.
what? Like, even if we got a Knights of Ren spin-off, it's the same curse as so much of the other Star Wars prequels and other shit. Is
Mm,
that we know that they just die fucking stupidly in a cave and that's it,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. I forgot about that.
Unless they don't,
They're in the world
and
beyond miles.
yeah, but like the thing is, Star Wars really fumbled and has continued to fumble.
Yeah.
Like Mandalorian, I remember stating that it was my favorite piece of Star Wars media outside of the original trilogy because you just can't. Like,
Yeah.
I don't see how you can beat that because you can't have it
It's
without
the
that.
foundation. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
and also Empire Strikes Back is one of the best pieces of
Oh
media
yeah.
ever made.
Yeah.
But with the Mandalorian season 1 and season 2, after the fucking sequels and prequels, personally, it it was just such a fresh. Hold on, no, a breath. What is it? A
A
breath of
breath of
fresh
fresh
air.
air.
That's it.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
no, a fresh
yeah.
breath of air. I was gonna say, a breath of fresh air. Um, and but then season 3, I was just like, they've just fucked it up.
It's the corporations, isn't it? And it's just
They just
like
need to stop.
what made it work was such a good story and it was quite minimalist in the first
Yeah,
season. But now they're gonna like try and like it's like having the first Iron Man movie stand on its own 2 feet. I think obviously
yeah,
having the same director,
yeah,
Iron Man 1 and Mandalorian are quite similar, but it's
yeah.
gonna end up with Mando doing Avengers Assemble of all the Star Wars characters
Yeah.
and this
Do you
overpopulated
know
like
what?
scene.
With Ahsoka, I was thinking about it today. It you it resonates that John Favreau wasn't massively involved in it
Yeah.
because I he has this certain style. I think it showed massively in Mandalorian season 3, where I think he really leans into the campiness of Star Wars and the
Mm.
sort of like Grogu in the fucking mech pressing no all the time and or yes or whatever it was. But
Yeah.
with Ahsoka, Dave Filoni, I love the way he tells stories in Star Wars
It's
with
very samurai, very
yeah, very samurai,
Western.
very mythological as
Yeah.
well, with the the names of Shin Hati and Balin Skull and
Yeah.
Morgan
It's quite
Elspeth and
grounded.
Marek.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's grounded, but in a sort of fairy tale sense, and even do you know what? It kind of resonated as well, where Jason said to Hera, like Hera, whatever it is, um, oh, it's like the stories you told me, and
Yeah.
it kind of felt like Jason was us as a kid because it's like those were
Yeah.
our stories.
Yeah, man. 100%. That's what he had. All those rebel stories and
Yeah,
like Ezra. Like I was really thinking today, his like he's only ever heard of Ezra, but Ezra's the closest thing he's got to his dad because Ezra was
yeah,
his
yeah,
dad's apprentice. And that you really feel it on the heartstrings because Dave knows how to develop characters, which a lot of media doesn't do nowadays. They'll just
no,
throw you random people, get them to say exposition, but you really care about these individual characters. And I
yeah,
think it paid off when Jason used the Force, and I was getting goosebumps. I was like, this is so cool. And then Hera,
yeah,
obviously, maybe having some innate ability to use the Force because she gave birth to Jason, maybe, and she's connected to him. And I
yeah,
believed it, you know. And it was
yeah,
so refreshing. It wasn't like a lot of the times in Star Wars, you do get the poetry where it just repeats really fantastic moments, and you're like, okay,
yeah. But this
I get what
felt
you're doing here. But
fresh.
yeah, it felt fresh and it felt crisp and it
Yeah,
felt like, yeah, I really
a
liked.
moment. Yeah,
Yeah, it's definitely been the best episode of Ahsoka so far. It might
yeah,
be one of the best episodes of Star Wars TV.
yeah,
100% it's up
yeah.
there.
And do you know what? This is quite a thing to say, but outside of the Clone Wars segments, I think the rest of the episode was a lot better than the Clone Wars segments. Um, but I'm glad that because I really thought this whole episode was just going to be Clone Wars
Mm,
and like seeing young, which he could have been, which I would have been
yeah,
happy with. But now in retrospect and having it like we can watch it whenever having
yeah,
it, um, I'm glad it didn't do that because too much of a good thing,
it dilutes it.
yeah,
Yeah,
you can have too
you
much of a good
always want
thing.
to leave and want it more. And that's is this issue with Star Wars being diluted by the shows. It's sort of
Yeah,
ruining the
which is
original
what
trilogy.
Favreau I think is a culprit of is diluting it, like fucking forcing Luke and Ahsoka into
Ahsoka.
Book of Boba. Even
Yeah, that was
like
like he ruined such a
it's
good moment. I don't
yeah,
know why he's
he
meta.
he he
Yeah,
ruined. They need to do another season of that, and they
yeah.
need to sort it out.
Because then it has that whole stupidity of like, what the hell's Luke doing?
Do
He's
you know
just
what?
on the island,
Do you know?
like,
Yeah, yeah. He's just oh, Thrawn's coming back, Luke. About it. I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna drink my cheesy elephant
milk. Yeah,
Squidward milk. I know it's a different planet, but still. Oh, was it? No, it was a
no, it
different
was a
planet, wasn't
different
it?
planet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it had
yeah,
to have
yeah,
been because Carla didn't know where he was.
yeah,
Um, but that could be a good episode though to
yeah,
speculate what could happen in a season
yeah,
two of Boba Fett. Boba Fett, Boba Fett.
yeah. Which is so stupid. It should be about Boba Fett, not bloody
Yeah,
Mando, Ahsoka, and Luke. But that's the story for another time. I think
yeah, yeah.
circling back to this episode, it was really it had me on the edge of my seat. I had to watch it first thing in the morning because obviously in the UK, it came out at midnight, so like Wednesday.
2 a.m.
So yeah, oh, 2 a.m. I
Yeah.
didn't stay up. I watched it straight away
Oh, I
first thing
can't
in the
do
morning,
that.
and yeah, I just didn't want spoilers. And yeah, mate, 10 out of 10. I know like we've mentioned our like nitpicking about the volume and stuff, but if I can,
Yeah,
I can view it as a story on its own,
yeah, yeah.
and I believed it, you know.
And do you know what? With the volume, I understand with the Mandalorian, especially season three, where it was just used constantly. I feel like in Ahsoka it's been used less.
Yeah,
Um,
especially after Andor and stuff,
yeah,
which
oh,
did
Andor,
so well.
oh, Andor, so good. But with this and with the Clone Wars scenes, I can understand why the volume was used because it's closed off and
Yeah, and leaks and stuff as well.
yeah,
Get
leaks are
close set,
fucking
and yeah,
bad.
you can't. Yeah, that's very
I
true.
I saw leaks for this episode and they were all wrong. So, you know,
They did
they
well. Yeah,
that
this
must
is
have been a
very rare,
hard
isn't
set
it? Not
to
have.
get
Yeah,
onto.
Star Wars are good
Um,
with leaks actually. For some
yeah,
reason, they're better than Marvel, but
yeah,
maybe it's because they use the volume.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So to sort of wrap this up,
yeah,
considering Hayden's like having such fun since like Kenobi last year, this year with Ahsoka. he's really getting back into this character and showing these different levels and
Yeah.
bridging the gaps between Vader and Anakin. Do you think he'll come again?
Don't know how or where.
Force Ghost.
Force Ghost, yeah, I guess. I would like to see him maybe in the Ray movie or the Heir. I reckon the movie that for Filoni will be Heir to the Empire. I reckon that's what it's called.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
because it was so popular as a book.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I'd like to see him in that.
yeah. See him on the big
But
screen. Yeah,
yeah, but if they, the thing is, I need. I don't want Luke, Leia, and Han to just be CGI monsters in that film because they will be in it. They've got to be in it.
Mm,
They need to be recast. I'm sorry, they need to be recast.
it can't happen now. They're too deep into this whole, and I
Uh,
think we should talk about it with the strikes and stuff, the use of AI.
yeah,
But the
yeah,
whole they tried it. They tried it with Solo, and fans were so ruthless to poor
yeah,
Alden that Kathleen Kennedy was like, "Oh, we'll never do that again." Star Wars fans want consistency.
yeah,
They've gone to such effort with Luke, but I think it's too deep now. They will have to CGI, and they with
yeah.
Indiana Jones. They're going to CGI Harrison Ford,
Oh,
and they're going to
even that
CGI
looked a
Carrie
bit
Fisher.
fucking dodgy.
Oh yeah, of course. The best deep fake that has happened so far has been with Hayden Christensen in this episode.
Yeah, but that is mainly because you don't really need to do much with him. You just need to
Yeah, he's
remove a
close to his
few
age.
like
Yeah, wrinkles and
forehead
like
lines and that.
yeah, basically, yeah.
Um, and that's
If he's
it.
like
But
80,
like
then he's gonna be
with
screwed.
Harrison Ford, when he's, I mean, no offense to him, bless him, I love him. He's fucking like he's like one of them old ones you see down Tesco, like fucking struggling to walk around. I mean, he's not really, but to CGI like
Long
him
man, yeah.
as young Han, it's just not gonna. You
I don't
can't
think
do
he'd
that.
even want to do it. I cannot see him
Nah,
doing another Star Wars project. I just can't. He's gonna be like, why?
but like a cameo, maybe
Yeah.
for a full film, like they did with Solo. That's
Mm.
tough. They
I get
tried it
what
with
you mean.
Tarkin. It didn't work for me. In Rogue
It's
One.
sort of just like yes, you can do a cameo. You can AI. You can use AI for a cameo and do that whole thing. But if you want it to really serve the story and get a good portion of the character in this
Need to
timeline,
recast.
you need to recast and get they're supposed to be like Ewan McGregor and bloody Hayden
Yeah.
Christensen. They were not Anakin and Obi-Wan
No.
in the original trilogy, were
Exactly.
they?
Nope.
And they were met with such reverence and stuff. Even
Yeah.
Ahsoka's actress did so well in conveying Rosario's like sort of mannerisms and also Ahsoka's.
Well, Ahsoka's been fucking recast twice.
Yeah,
Rosario had to
yeah,
do Ashley,
yeah,
and this
exactly.
new guy, I think her name's Bridget, had to do Rosario. So,
Yeah,
like, yeah, you're
but
right.
I love it.
It's
I love seeing.
yeah,
I love
yeah,
the interconnecting.
new interpretations as well because it doesn't
Exactly.
always have to be exact. Like, you're not
Yeah, it's
actors
a
don't have to do an impression of each other. They
no,
bring their own
exactly.
thing to it.
Oh yeah, 100%,
Yeah,
100%. It's about the character as well. You're not playing the actor. You're playing the character, and these
yeah.
characters are not. I'm sorry, but yeah, Luke Skywalker doesn't belong to Mark Hamill. Obviously, he brought a lot of himself
No,
into
he
it. He's the
belongs to
foundation.
fucking. He belongs to
Yeah,
Star Wars.
yeah,
um,
yeah,
and he, belongs to the people who grew up with him, and if that means that a new generation has to have a new face for Luke Skywalker, the guy who did the. I know
yes.
we've done it.
We
We've
talked
been over
about
this
this, but
before,
yeah,
but the guy who is underneath the fucking AI face
yeah.
looks more like Luke Skywalker than Luke
Mark Hamill.
Skywalker does.
Yeah,
Yeah, than Mark Hamill does.
and even
Like,
AI. Yeah,
just
yeah.
get Carrie Fisher's daughter. I mean, obviously you can't get Carrie Fisher. Rest in peace.
Yeah, her daughter's played
Carrie
her before,
Fisher's daughter. I know she doesn't look exactly like her, but so what?
or even
Get the
another
guy who's playing Luke
actress. Like, it's
Skywalker, even
fine.
another actress. Han Solo, Alden Ehrenreich. We've got
Yeah,
him.
man, give him
He's
back. Give
he's
him a
booked.
chance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um.
listen, we'll make it happen.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's
We're
jump on a
gonna
plane now.
contact. We're gonna contact Kathleen Kennedy and say, look, just fucking sort it out. You won't win your We've got nothing left award at the end of the year if you don't fucking sort this
Yeah,
out.
exactly. You're hearing us loud and clear,
Yeah,
Kathleen.
Kathleen, if you're
You
one
have
of
a
our
choice.
20 viewers, then but you make sure that you get that done.
Yeah.
But I just want to make one more point.
Go on then.
Bald Ahsoka.
What?
Bald Ahsoka.
Bald?
Yeah, without a
Oh
headpiece.
yes. I was so confused what you said. I was so like it looked
Yeah,
like Uncanny Valley. I don't think
it
I've ever
did.
seen it like that.
You
She
see
took
it
her little head
once.
guard and I
You
was
see
like,
it once when she's, when she's a baby and well, a kid, like a
yeah, in
toddler.
Tales of the
You see it
Jedi,
then.
yeah.
But then,
And that's
did you see
shut
like in like the corner? I know no one can see me, but
I'll
like
get it on the
underneath her
screen.
leku, like there's holes for where her ears are. There's
Yeah.
fucking holes.
Let me get that image up, mate. We got the episode on the screen.
Holes.
Yeah, there are. Yeah, there are. They're like little
I guess that's mainly for her to just hear the like Rosario, but
yeah.
it was like I was like, ooh. But then I thought, you know what? Actually, it again just makes you almost forget that Ahsoka isn't human,
Yeah.
and
And this
that
is the first time you got a lead character with
being
an
an
alien.
like a
You get
really
what I
alien,
mean?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. That's so
yeah,
like it's almost like really inclusive in a weird way. Like
yeah,
it's
yeah,
really
yeah.
funny. Like we
To
love
yeah,
that.
yeah. But look, I mean, after that, I've got nothing left.
I guess so. I've got nothing left either. I guess we're back.
We are back.
That's all I've
We're
got to
back in
say.
business until
Yeah,
we
mate.
aren't.
Yeah, until we are.
No, but we are. Yeah, we're back in business. But yeah, I've got
Fantastic.
nothing left.
See you guys soon.
See you later.